Good day all. Welcome to a Java project. In this session, we're going to take a look at a program that allows the user to input some information and then helps them get a quarantine pass. It's a very simple program that utilizes JFrame, and we're going to take a look. So let's run the file. And when we run the file, we're going to be prompted to enter some information in the JFrame panel. So here it is. We have about 9 input forms. We have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 text fields and 2 JRadio buttons. So, for example, the user didn't want to input anything. I'll just press submit, and he's prompted by this panel here, which means he has to do it. So, we put our first name. For example, it's Bill. If I don't go for the middle name, it will be prompted to input this one. If not, and so on and so forth. So let me just fill all the forms. So birthplace is required. Let's say he's born in okay. If I don't put phone number is required. So it has to be, let's give it a 995 476 6896. And then if I don't put the age, well, that's not good. So this is where the validation comes in. User needs to be above 21 and below 60. So if I put 21, applicants below 21 and above 60 are not applicable. So if I make it 20, it also applies. And if I make it 1, obviously cannot. Same for 60. Cannot be 60. Cannot be 61 or anything higher than 60 in general. But in between those two numbers, we can get good. Okay, it works. So civil status is required. We're gonna put, for example, married, and we have 2 remaining. So gender is required. Gender, male. So if the user has any family member who had prior application, and let's say yes, it will not allow. So families with prior application are not applicable. But if I press no, it works. The validation is complete. So let's have a look as the table loads. And as you can see, we were able to take the user's information and store it. So let's have a brief take a look at the code. So what we have here is basically just some text, but the most important part is here. We have the variables that will take in. Actually, I forgot to mention, just to check, there is a part here where you can clear. I will show you that you're able to clear the user's information easily. So after you run, I'll just put a jumble of words. I'll just copy paste all of these. Copy paste 09123445. And for example, the user doesn't want to use any of these. It's another person. The user can just press clear, and all of it will be cleared. So that's a good feature. So just to kind of briefly explain, what happens first is that the user is prompted to input, which will start over here. So we have the assigned variables to get the user's input, and a boolean key, which will change once the user has met all the requirements. So here's basic validation. It checks first if the text field is empty, and if not, it goes to the next one, so on and so forth. It checks the age if it's empty. If not, it checks the validity of the age if it's between 21 and 60. And it checks if the radio buttons are selected. If it's not, well, it will output this. And lastly, there are actually only 2 validations here, which is the age and prior application. And if all of them render true, the key will turn true, and the key here will allow all the information to go into the results app. So that's basically it. This is where it inputs to the database.
In this section, we will be talking about the database. In this implementation of the database, we have implemented the use of XAMPP, XAMPP, which allows us to access whatever data that we inputted for this NetBeans project. It will be redirected to the live database that we made in phpMyAdmin. So in this, we will initiate the activation of SQL by pressing start. and for MySQL and Apache. Then, by doing so, after activating that, we have to connect one of the local host servers that we made for this database. In order for this to activate, we have put a jar file of the MySQL connector Java database in order for the data inputted in the NetBeans to transfer to the live database that we made. So let us connect this, and let us connect this. Alright, it may take a while. So there, two of these files have been connected successfully. And as you can see in our code that we have implemented codes of the Java database with the MySQL document named as quarantine pass application in accordance to the project that we made. New user is the username of our SQL, and Java quarantine is our password. So let us try accessing our database by going to admin. There it will redirect us to the local host of 127.001. Then we have to go to one of our quarantine pass applications where we will see our supposed inputs. In here, you can see the table that we made: first name, middle name, last name, birthplace, phone number, age, civil status, gender, and prior applications. We have inputted these variables in order for them to merge and successfully produce the database that we made. So here we can see the structure there. In each variable, we have inputted the first name, the middle name, the last name, and their supposed variable type, varchar 80, in order to provide birthplace, phone number, age, gender. And that is how our database is implemented. So as I previously discussed, that I have implemented jar files in order to connect the database of the NetBeans to the local host, and have successfully connected the JFrame transfer of data to another JFrame, connecting it to the live SQL we made, which is phpMyAdmin. So in here, our table is named as quarantine pass application. We can see here in the final part all the inputted values that we have done in the project itself. Don't mind the graph. So here, you can see here my co-member has inputted his first value in the quarantine pass application, the Bill Zuck Gates. Here's the birthplace, phone number, age, civil status, etc. So this proves that all of the codes that we implemented here, like show the table of data, has been implemented to the live SQL server that we made. These codes are vital because it provided a gateway to input it to the SQL server. None of that is possible if we did implement that. So you can see here we inputted around 10 pieces of data to validate, to know if what our inputted variables are being inserted in phpMyAdmin. You can see here that anything that has not succeeded in the validation process are not inserted in this database that we made. So that pretty much sums up what we have made for our project. the implementation of the JFrame tables, the design that we made. It's taking a long time to process. Then application form there. Then the database is made possible with SAMP. Then the jar file of the mySQL connector. And to conclude, me, Pastoral, and Dimaano have succeeded in implementing all the OOP concepts, the database, the patterns, etc. And I hope our presentation, have met the expectations that you were looking for, and all the conditions have been met. That is all. Thank you and have a nice day.